Well, good afternoon and welcome. Some time ago, my friend, mom, wife, and writer Kendra Brookheis started a monthly email publication called Present Tense. And in it, she speaks of various aspects of life and living as a sort of a tension, the tension perhaps between right and wrong, or the tension between saying something or not saying something, maybe doing this or doing that, going here or making the decision to go there. Well, you get the idea. And in one of those emails some months ago, Kendra, who lives with her husband and her family across the street from the school where her husband Colin teaches, told about an encounter with a neighbor. Now, Kendra and her family live in a part of the city where many would prefer to not be living. They purposely are living there, not only because of the proximity to Colin's work across the street, but in order to live out lives of faith in a community desperately longing for hope and promise. So I'm going to be quoting her here as she tells this story. A man was staying in the vacant home next door to us that his father owns, trying to detox from the hard drugs that he's addicted to. One thing I learned, she says, during his stay was that while many ministries in the city offer rehab support for people trying to get sober, many also require you to be completely detoxed from all substances, even ones meant to keep you off of other drugs, before you can get support. I read more about detoxing and was humbled to discover just how brutal it is. Whatever pleasurable effect that a drug has on the body, quitting that drug has the reverse effect. For example, heroin offers a high mood, decreased anxiety, and insensitivity to pain. While someone's detoxing from heroin, their withdrawal symptoms will give them a low mood, extreme pain, and great anxiety. So to put it lightly, this was horrific for our neighbor. It seemed like he was either out of his mind from the drugs or he was out of his mind from the pain of being off the drugs, and that the sound effects went on next door for weeks and weeks at all hours. Well, in the middle of one night, he was outside. He was making a lot of disruptive noise and other erratic behaviors. We went out and tried to coax him back inside, asking him to let us take him to a detox facility where he could get more help through the process. Well, he wasn't hearing us on multiple levels, but before he wandered away, he looked at my husband Colin and he said, "Tell me you love me, Colin." I looked at my husband with wide eyes, shocked by our neighbor's request. Did this man know what he was asking for? More importantly, who he was asking it from? My husband, who's forever loyal to his commitments, still shrinks away from I love yous and hugs that aren't from his wife and kids. Well, Colin tried dodging the request twice. The reasons could be many. But then he looked back at our neighbor and he said, "I love you." The next day, our neighbor's dad took him to a detox center. Well, this is Jay again. I told you Kendra's story to ask you what you would have done in that situation. First, would you have even placed yourself and your family in a neighborhood such as that? Second, would you have tried to help your neighbor in the situation he was in, outside in the middle of the night, disrupting the neighborhood? And finally, if you would have answered yes to those above questions, how would you have responded to your neighbor wanting you to say that you loved him? You know, it's relatively easy to say, "I love you" to our spouses, children, and even relatives and close friends. And it's relatively easy to provide some kind of help if called upon. But it's quite another to truly love, provide help that makes one get into the dirt and mud along with the other person, and say as well as demonstrate that you love someone in the throes of incredible difficulty, sinful living, poor decision making, and a checkered history. Life is messy. Sometimes, in order to truly help, in order to truly be the salt and light that Jesus asked his followers to be, you have to step into that mess with someone. You have to get dirty, get into the gritty part of that person's life. in order to help with cleanup. Well, I trust that you'll find this story helpful as you think about your response and the fact that Jesus has said to love your neighbor as yourself. Blessings.